So we've talked a lot today about games that are being delayed and might not be coming out in 2021, but a game that does seem to be on track is Deathloop, latest upcoming game from Arkane, the creators of Dishonored, Prey. It looks like a high-tech Dishonored with a huge twist. If you mash together Dishonored and Groundhog Day and Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, mix them up in a blender, you kind of get Deathloop. It's an interesting game with it. So it's a first-person action game, like most Arcane games, with supernatural powers that you can collect and weapons and things like that. So some cool stuff. But it's got this time loop mechanic, and it's been very puzzling as to what this game is actually about. But they put out a new trailer for it. Arkane did. Arkane and Bethesda, and they kind of gave some more information about what the game's all about. And I was excited for it before, but now it's like it sounds even better now. So basically, the objective of this game is you wake up on this island and you live. There's a time loop happening so that the residents of the island are living the same day over and over again. And the people at the top, there's like 8 people that they call what do they call them? Visionaries. So the visionaries, I guess, kind of keep this going, and they do it so they can stay immortal, that kind of thing. And so the objective of the game is you have to find a way to eliminate all 8 of the visionaries within the span of one day before you hit the end of the day and loop back to the beginning when they're all alive again. But they have all the island's inhabitants try to kill you and all of this. So it's an interesting concept, and it looks like it's going to be a very, like, you're going to have to do some scouting, do some investigating, like there's a mystery to solve, and you're going to have to figure out who is where, and then when.
It's a great idea. The Most Dangerous Game is one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite stories. This is one of my most favorite things. Is like you're on an island, and it's you or the other person, and that's the story thing. Usually it's like you have a nice dinner together with somebody, and then he's like, "Oh yes, and I also forgot to tell you, James. Tomorrow I'll be hunting you."
Yes.
And no, I'm not kidding.
And
You'll have to run for your life.
That's a pretty apt comparison, because it does have a very James Bond aesthetic to it. In fact,
yes, because you not only have to assassinate these targets, but you have an assassin gunning for you the whole time that you're gunning for all of these other people.
Yes. And that actually brings in an interesting multiplayer component, because you can this optionally have another human player control the assassin that is chasing you down.
Brilliant. It's like I said, I now that I kind of figured that this is what they were going for when we originally saw it. I wasn't sure. I kind of was like, I think this is what they're going for. But I gotta say, this potentially has potentially has great options in it for, like, something that's going to be great. I was thinking originally that it was going to be something else. A little bit. I couldn't really make up my mind, but now that I see what they're doing, I'm like, okay, I get it, and it's cool. Mm-hmm. And I hope that they do it just a smash up job with this and really showcase what Bethesda Studios is hopefully getting back to being, and that is focusing on making good games that are making things different.
Yes,
adding in a level of difference than what you're normally used to in this stuff, and then really expanding on that. And I hope this is. I have more and more hope for Bethesda every day, and I'm really glad to say that, because I don't want to lose Fallout. I don't want to lose Elder Scrolls. I really don't want to lose these things. I think Evil Within. I think Wolfenstein. I think they all have an important place in gaming history, and I would hate to see them go down the toilet. I know some people think that they've gone down the toilet, and I'd say I think they hit a major speed bump. Had maybe had a tire come off, and they needed to get out and fix it. And I hope this is the beginning of showing us that they have potential at getting back to making the best games in the industry. So fingers crossed.
Now that said, Bethesda's the publisher, the developer is Arkane, and I've been very happy with their games recently. I actually, with the exception of Wolfenstein Youngblood, I think that they've really they've hit most of their games out of the park. Of course, they developed the Dishonored series, and those are excellent. They're excellent. Prey was really good. Dishonored: Death of the Outsider was really good. And then going all the way back to Arx Fatalis, which was 2002.
Arkane is under the wing of Bethesda now. They're not under the wing of ZeniMax anymore. They are they are for the next few months until the merger is complete with them and Microsoft. But even being under Microsoft, they still report first and foremost. They will be reporting to Bethesda.
Oh, sure. Well, they're owned by Bethesda / ZeniMax. That is very true. But what I have found with Bethesda over the past few years is that even though Bethesda while they were screwing up with Fallout 76 and some of their other missteps, their sort of satellite studios, Machine Games and id and Arkane, were all putting out really good stuff that Bethesda was publishing. Bethesda the publisher.
Yeah, because there's Bethesda the publishers, there's Bethesda the game studio, and then there's ZeniMax, who was over top of all of that stuff. And ZeniMax was really messing with some of the game companies and some of the studios, and then they were ignoring other studios completely. So it's very confusing. Not to mention that these guys are in France, so maybe that's something that I imagine that ZeniMax would call up Arkane and be like, "Hey, we want you to put microtransactions, just thousands and thousands of microtransactions into the thing." And they go, "Monsieur, I no speak English.
They do not understand."
One moment, and they start speaking French, and the guy's like, forget this. I'm going to go scream at Todd Howard some more. It's like,
Indeed.
It's like that's what I picture was going on here. So maybe they managed to avoid that being over there in Lyon, France.
Well, I mean, that said, like most of the Wolfenstein games from Machine Games have been really good. Now, Youngblood was
terrible.
Youngblood did not do so well, and it does seem like they had some of that corporate, messing with it going on. But then both Doom games that have come out recently have been very good. So their satellite studios are definitely capable of putting out some good stuff. So I have high hopes for Deathloop. I have high hopes for it. And yes,
I've got to give my seal of approval on Deathloop here. They have good hair, which is amazing, because Bethesda Studios, Bethesda sister studios, have never been able to make good hair, like ever, like never ever have they actually managed to make good hair.
Maybe that's why all their games are first person.